The Dutch War of Independence, or the 80 Years' War, was a revolt of the 17 provinces against Philip II of Spain. The Dutch Calvinists were under the rule of Spain. Philip II, who was the king of Spain at that time, didn't like heretics, which he considered Calvinists to be, so he tried to convert them to Catholicism with force. A Dutch nobleman, William of Orange, started criticizing Philip for being intolerant towards Protestants. In 1566, other nobles started supporting William of Orange, and they asked the king to stop with the compromise of nobles. And he said no. The Protestants didn't like that, so they started breaking stuff that they didn't think should be in a church. That mostly consisted of decorative art. It was called the iconoclastic fury, or as the Dutch called it, the statue storm. Philip was of course not happy, so he appointed Fernando Alvarez de Toledo, aka the Duke of Alba or the Iron Duke, to calm the Dutch down. He had a stick. He goes to the Netherlands and sets up the Council of Troubles, which the Dutch called the Council of Blood because they publicly killed many Protestants. William of Orange escapes and becomes the leader of the rebellion against the Iron Duke. He tries to invade Spain, but failed. He tried to ally with France, but failed. And finally, in 1568, he successfully invaded Spain and officially started the war. After which they immediately get defeated. At that time, Spain also had to deal with the Ottomans, French, and English, which stretched its forces and weakened it. That allowed the Seabaggers, a part of William's team, to capture a part of Holland. That inspired other cities in the region to rebel and give the place for William to set up base. In 1573, William of Orange converted to being a Protestant. He was Catholic up to this point. 2 years later, in 1575, Spain had to declare bankruptcy because of all the wars. The Iron Duke got replaced and Spain couldn't pay their troops. In all places where there were mercenaries, even on friendly ground, the mercenaries began to riot and pillage stuff because they needed a way to get money. All the people that were suffering sided with the Protestants to try and get the mercenaries away, but in 1579, Spain got its stuff together and sent out a new general, Alexander Farnese, Duke of Parma. And yes, he also had a stick. He managed to get the few provinces on his side and formed the Union of Arras. To that, the Protestants replied with, "Okay," and formed the Union of Utrecht, the union that was the foundation of the 17 provinces. In 1580, Philip officially announced William as wanted, with a price for his head. And a year later, in response to that, the Dutch declared their independence with the Act of Abjuration. William of Orange was assassinated in 1584 by Balthazar Gerard, and the leadership over the Netherlands was passed on to his heir, Maurice. The Spanish sent another attack towards the Dutch, and they captured the 10 southern provinces, and the Dutch were forced to go north. The Spanish again enforced those areas with strict Catholicism, and the north became fully Protestant. In 1585, Queen Elizabeth sided with the Dutch and attacked Spain, leading to the Spanish Armada, causing the Spanish to have to focus on sending money to fix their fleet, weakening them. Maurice chooses that moment to start attacking and manages to stabilize the borders of the Dutch Republic. In 1609, the two sides started a truce, but they started fighting again in 1621. At that time though, the rest of Europe was busy with the 30 Years' War, so the Dutch decided to take the war global. They sided with India to attack Portuguese, which was Spain, territories in India and the Indies. They also started attacking fleets and colonies of Spain in the west. Back in Europe, the Dutch failed to get the south back, which now no longer wants to be Protestant because of the new Catholic generation, so it doesn't matter. In 1639, during the Battle of the Downs, the Dutch destroyed the Spanish navy, and Spain sorta gives up. Because of that, in 1648, both sides signed a peace treaty called the Treaty of Münster, and the Dutch Republic was recognized as a separate country.